You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is luca-zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a dream. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and also on 104.1 FM. Another Sunday, another show. You know, what I really like about this show is that it started like a local show. You know, we reached the tri-state area, Laughlin area, Nevada, Needles, California, of course, the Mojave County part of Bullhead, blah, blah, blah. You know the story. But then, since the beginning, I realized that the problems and also the challenges and the topics that I talk on this show, they don't just belong to the tri-state area. They belong to every American. But more important, they belong to every human being out there. We are facing something that really, you know, I say unite us as a human beings, free human beings, against something that I would call a global tyranny. Now, I really like to learn what's going on in other countries, because I really believe what's going on, for example, right now in Europe, in Sweden, in Italy, in Germany, is something that we are facing too, or if we are not there yet, we may be very soon. Now, there is a country that I've always been fascinated. I've never been there. I've been many parts of the world, but I was a place that when I was a windsurfer, I really wanted to go one day when I was young. You know, it was South Africa. You know, a little bit worried about the sharks there, kind of a big sharks in the water, but at the same time there were big waves too, and I was kind of interested. But regardless, then I came to America and I started to follow anyway different, you know, try to learn everything. And one thing I learned, you know, yes, everybody knows about the Apartheid or whatever you want to call it. You know, the point is the black people, they were segregation. We understand. But now there is a different type of apartheid. And by the way, I have not really any type of agenda here. I'm not a white supremacist or I'm not a black supremacist. I'm a human being. I look at people as human beings. I don't judge you by the color of your skin. I judge you what you have inside. If you are an ass, you're an ass. If you're a good person, you're a good person. That's it. But when I see right now in the news, or at least the little news we have from South Africa, what I would call a white genocide, when I see a complete use of coercion through the government, and even not government, just, you know, private scumbags out there, violence is welcome and allowed. The point is now South Africa is becoming really a sad reality that should really make us think really what could happen when a socialist/Marxist form of government, racial motivated, will take over. And what happened to the losers? What happened to the people that now, just because they were son or grandson of a generation ago, that, by the way, I don't believe in this global, at least collective sense of guilt. If my great-great-great-grandfather did something, guess what? I didn't. I do not owe you anything. Simple as that. Okay? And by the way, not every South African, white man maybe was for apartheid. The point now is time to move on. But also we should be very critical, even who really were these people that they were fighting for the apartheid or against the apartheid. Nelson Mandela, you know very well my humble opinion based on facts. He was a Marxist scumbag. And by the way, I'm in America. I can say these things. Now, my guest that I'm having in a few minutes, we may not talk about his last name. Things that I can say or we can say here in the U.S., they may be illegal, criminally, legally, civilly, and more important, violently. They kill you for nothing. They murder you. They torture you for less, especially if you are white. So what Nelson Mandela really did, let's not forget about all the also type of violence used against innocent white. And as I said, I don't have side but the truth. I don't care, if you're white or black. I care that nobody should use violence or coercion against another human being unless for self-defense. Now let me shut up. Let me bring this guest because I think it's a perfect person, perfect human being from South Africa to tell us exactly what South Africa now is facing as economy, as also, socially, but more important, what the white people, the white farmers are facing there. Something that we have no idea. We are giving the refugee status to people from the Middle East. I think we should give the refugee status, first of all, or at least even more, to people from South Africa. But this is my just humble opinion. I want to bring you the facts. More important, I want to bring you the guest. His name is Patrick. He's from Durban, South Africa. Patrick, are you there?
Yeah, Luca. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Lister, before we start and go ahead, I'd like to, give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're living. I read your email. I saw some photos. You told me about your family background. Everybody has their stories. I got my stories. But I tell you, when I read your story, it made me realize that there is always somebody worse out there. So, and this is good for us as human beings in general, to think that when you have a bad, we need to look at other people's miseries because there is always somebody worse than us. So give us a little bit of introduction, who you are, exactly what is your background, where you grew up, in what type of family, and also where you live now. Go ahead.
Thanks, Luca. I appreciate it. Well, I was born in Southwest Africa, Shumep, in Namibia, and we moved from there to different parts of South Africa. I grew up quite poor. My father was a real con man, if I could put it straight. So we never really used to stay quite long at one place. Maybe 6 months the most. Then we had to pack up and we had to leave to another place because he either stole money or he did something and they were looking for him. So we were always on the move. Studying for us growing up, like with other kids, when they say, listen, I want to go to university, that was not an option for us. There just was no finance for that. We at one stage, just to make a long story short, we basically, slept in a car outside with just a jacket that you had on. Going to school, I had to sleep in the car and go to a normal train station in the morning, wash my face, brush my teeth, and then get dropped off at school. That was the life I grew up with. But I must say, and I'm thankful I never turned to drugs and all that kind of stuff. But I've always had a passion for poor people because I knew how it was to go without a plate of food or not to have a roof over your head. And see other people eat and you're hungry. So I grew up, basically in that way. And then I started slowly working my way up and I was in the music industry and we did festivals and shows and all kinds of stuff. But because I didn't have the education, people always used to take advantage. So job-wise, even though you could do the job, they wouldn't employ you because of, you don't have the papers to prove it. So that in one sense was a downfall for us. And so people used to take your ideas and they would make you believe this could be something for you to get you back on your feet, and then they use your ideas, make money, and you basically get left outside. And then I kind of read up a little bit on the internet about Farm Aid in America and the work that they've done. And it was established by Neil Young, John Cougar Mellencamp, Willie Nelson. I think Dave Matthews is there now as well. And I thought, geez, this kind of thing would work great in South Africa. The only difference between us and the American Farm Aid was that we've got this terrible thing called the farm murders. And so anyway, I wrote to them.
What do you call it? 1 second. Excuse me, Patrick. How do you call this terrible thing? Yes. I miss you. Say it again.
Sorry, what's that, Luca?
You say we have this terrible thing called the farm. I didn't understand that part. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. I said the difference between your farm aid and ours is is the difference is we've got the terrible farm murders and farm attacks.
Oh, farm murders. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, which is not so occurrent in America like it is here at our place.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I contacted them, and they said, no, they can use the concept, I just can't use the name. So I said, no, that's perfectly fine. And that's how Farmers Aid SA started, you know. Mm-hmm. And I said, there's two things. We want to create awareness around the farm murders and explain to the people how brutal these farm murders really are and how real they really are. It's not just a case of a thing that's been made up in the media. No. And I don't know if you've been following Australia, where they're getting refuge for farmers to go to Australia. Mm-hmm. And I was watching...
Patrick, before we go there, you know, and the refugee situation, I like to understand a little bit, a couple of things here. You know, the history of South Africa, okay? Because I don't know much.
Yes.
South Africa, when exactly was, let's say, created as a state, or as a nation, as a sovereign nation? When happened that? Because before was it an English colony, or was it a Holland colony, Dutch colony? What was? Tell me, because I'm not really informed about that.
It was the English. The English used to run it. Basically, they were in charge, and then there were the Boere on the one side who was fighting with the English, and they defeated the English, and then at another stage the English defeated the Boers. But you also got the history between the Boers and the Africans, the Zulus.
Yeah. So the point is, let me understand. Because I remember there was a big battle between I call it in English and in my Italian English, the Boeris or the Boers, as you say, and they were these people descended from Holland, Dutchland. Okay, is that right? Or they were the local people that were born there.
Okay, you were breaking up there.
I mean, the British fought the rebellious, let's say, group of the Boers, or you want to call them, and these Boers, they were originally from where? From Holland, or they were born there in South Africa?
They were born in South Africa.
It's okay. So like the American colony, they were born here.
Yes, they were just average farmers.
Yeah. And they were good riflemen, by the way. I read some stories. They were really good with the rifle. They could shoot targets at even 1,000 yards with the iron sight. I mean, they're really good shooters. Now, from there, when exactly the South Africa became independent from England and became as a sovereign state, sovereign country?
Sorry, look, you're breaking up very badly. I can't...
You know what? Let me call you back, because I think we have a little delay. I think I should call you back. Okay, stay there. I'll call you back. Okay, guys, this is kind of live, even, of course, we are recording, but we are calling South Africa, okay? So the line sometimes is not perfect. Let's call Patrick again. Hopefully we got better line. We're connecting. Here we are back. Sorry for a little bit of interference. I don't know if it was just the line. Sometimes it's just the line. You know, I'm calling, after all, to the other side of the world, South Africa. But it's a funny thing, I must admit it. I had similar things happening when I had other interesting and controversial guests. You know, especially into the other country, from other countries. But as I said, doesn't matter. We keep going. Today we're here back, and I'm here with my guest, Patrick from Durban, South Africa. We're talking about the condition of what's happening to the average white man in South Africa, especially to the farmers. And also I'd like to learn more about the history of South Africa and what really happened during the Apartheid. And Nelson Mandela was exactly what they tell us in the news, glorifying like a hero, or he was a villain. I have my opinion, but let me first of all talk to Patrick, because after all, he was living there, and I'm sure he was also, I'm going to ask him, Patrick, are you there, first of all?
Yeah, Luca, thanks so much, man.
Very good.
We'll have a better night.
Very good. I hear you better now. Listen, first of all, during the Apartheid, or at least when the Apartheid technically was over, when was that? When the Apartheid, you know, when the black people, they got back in power, and the Apartheid was, let's say, officially considered ended. When?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things about Apartheid. People say it was inhumane, it was merciless. And they painted this picture that the white government was so bad towards them. So tonight I want to show you a little bit of what the white government did for them during the apartheid days, and then you can make up your mind and see for yourself. If you look at it, there was parts of the apartheid which none of us agree on, but there's certain parts where we say that there's a little bit, they exaggerated the whole thing. Because if it was so merciless and so inhumane, how did Mandela manage to get a lawyer's degree, first of all? And secondly was it inhumane for whites to have built 10 universities for Africans during apartheid, which of course they burned down? Didn't this inhumane government increase its budget on black education by 30% every year, paid for by white taxes?
Wow.
How was it possible in such an inhumane condition for 65% of black South African children to be schooled compared to Egypt's 64%, Nigeria's 57%, and Ghana's 52%, and Tanzania's 50%, and Ethiopia's 20%? You know, how was it possible in such an inhumane condition that 70% of the African adults of South Africa could read and write, compared to Kenya's 47% and Egypt's 38%? I think in Nigeria was like 34% and Mozambique was 26%. Didn't this inhumane racist whites, as they call it, build 15 new classrooms for Africans every working day, every year? That's what the government did. How was it possible? They say it was so inhumane conditions for the African's population. If it was so bad, they have grown from 5 million to 40 million.
No, I understand. I understand. I'm sure they're listening. I don't believe, as I said, anything comes out straight on mainstream media. Just to give you an idea, even before, when I have no idea what's going on in South Africa, all I know that it's easy to find out who Nelson Mandela really is, or at least was. You know, they want to make a hero. I guess what is just go out and Google exactly how many people got, even their own black people, burned alive with tires around their neck just because they didn't get along with Nelson Mandela beliefs. I mean, you know, and on top, you know, when you call yourself a Marxist, you lose for me all credibility to be the good guy. I'm sorry. Marxism or any type of philosophy of, let's say, political belief based on violence, because that's what it is. You know, you cannot have a Marxist society unless you have a bunch of people from the government with guns and the rest of the slaves submitted. So I don't like anything how that individual. So, but I'm glad you tell me something that, you know, I had no idea about that. Now, when you how old you were when this apartheid officially, I mean, is there a date out there? Okay, now, today, the apartheid is gone. We have a black president, whatever they want to call it. When that happened? How did that happen?
Well, I would say apartheid is really gone. I think it's just changed names.
Yeah.
I've always said that the new apartheid is the BEE, the Black Economic Empowerment, that they've brought in, because basically what the aim is of that is to exclude the whites from the workforce. So when you go for an interview, whether you got the qualification or not, they won't employ you because of your skin color.
Wow.
And that is why that's like a domino effect, because now you don't get work. Those that do get work lose their work, and the whole family is basically pushed into poverty.
Yeah.
And that's why we're having all these white squatter camps coming up all over the place, because they can't. There's just no work for white people, you know. And that was not the issue in the apartheid days, you know, because 56%, of its annual budget of the apartheid was spent on the Africans during the white government.
Yeah.
You know, just to give you an indication, Luca, what was built for them, and then you can tell me, was this white government as racist as what people make it out? You know, in Soweto, where they stay, 115 football fields were built for them, 3 rugby fields were built for them, 4 athletic tracks were built for them, 11 cricket fields were built for them, 2 golf courses were built, 47 tennis courts were built for them, 7 swimming pools built to Olympic standards were built for them, 5 bowling alleys were built for them. 81 netball fields were built for them.
Patrick, sorry to interrupt you. I'm sure there is a lot of interesting things, but my point is, when you say they were built for them, because at the end of the day, I understand. One thing was in apartheid that was real, and I think you can confirm. If there is, let's say, a swimming pool, that swimming pool is for black only, and white as another swimming pool. Am I right? That's why they were built for them. All these facilities were built for them because they were just dedicated for black people only. Am I right or wrong? Just to be sure I got it down right.
That's right, yes.
Okay. And, at least that wasn't right, my humble opinion. I think we human beings, we should be judged by, our actions and not our color. But at the same time, I understand your point. They'd say that they had, at least the government was giving them some attention, economic attention, that now I see the white average person, probably just white, doesn't get anything, and now the apartheid is reversed, and that's what really disturbs. Things that weren't right before, but now they are not making it right. They're just making the same mistakes and more, because now it is not just apartheid; it is also a complete economic system that's completely. With the destiny to fail. I mean, a Marxist economic system that it will prey always on stealing and robbing the working class people is unsustainable. So that's what really disturbed me. Now, as you said, this is a black apartheid to a white man, but on top, at least the white man had the idea how to make an economy running. And, I knew that the South African economy was doing great. You had a lot of resources we're using from farming. Now we'll go into farming. Now, unfortunately, the Marxist ideology has no idea how to work. They only can think they force people to give up their possession and stealing. So that's why it's also terrible, more than before. Now, tell me something about what happened to the average white farmer that really was trying just to have a life. After all, they were born maybe after the apartheid. They have this piece of land. They've been, using it and farming it for years, generations maybe. And now I watch the news, at least what I can watch in this news, the new form of government that is declared a Marxist government. They said, we're going to come and take your property, period. And meanwhile, I read in bits and pieces, because it's not mainstream news, that a lot of farmers, they've been beaten up, killed, tortured in a very terrible way, not just killed, like really torture. So children, I mean, things that out of a horror movie, especially these farmers alone in the middle of nowhere. By the way, you will confirm you don't have a Second Amendment right. So gun registration and gun, let's say, there are no gun rights there. So people pretty much they are left by themselves. And I understand the government, especially now, because unless you're a black, if you're white, doesn't really care what happens to you. Am I right or wrong? All these things I told you, because I just got these bits and pieces from the internet, and I want to see from you that you live there what you tell me.
No, definitely. The farm murders has been going on from 1994 when the new government took over. And it's just progressed and got worse as time went on. Just to give you a general idea on farm attacks from the 1st of January to where we are now to the 30th of June, just to give you the figures, and it'll give you a little indication of how bad the attacks are. 39 farm murders has happened since January and the 30th of June. That's an average of about one farmer being murdered every 4.6 days in South Africa.
Wow.
There was 256 farm attacks from the 1st of January to the 30th of June this year. That's an average of 1.4 farm attacks per day.
Wow.
That's happening. And it's not just a normal thing where they go in, they put a gun against your head and they steal your weapons or they steal your money or what. It's not that. They go in there and they torture the people for hours. And when I'm talking torture, it's the most brutal thing that you can find, that they can do on a person, that they do. Little children, 8 years old, I think about a year and a half ago, it was a family that was watching TV and they were having supper. These guys came in and they didn't steal a thing. they just tortured the family. They killed the husband, they raped the wife and killed her, and they had an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old daughter. Beautiful little girl. That girl was raped by all of them.
Jesus.
And then afterwards, they killed her in a brutal way.
Well, tell me the brutal way, because this is sometimes people think it's we watch this stuff in movies. This is real, and I read some stories. I mean, I almost like to be graphic here because something must be sinking in. There are countries that we give them status of refugees, and they got it bad, supposedly. But guess what? When nobody talks about what's happening to the average white man or woman in South Africa, I think it's even worse because this stuff, it's happening every day and nobody wants to talk because it's not politically correct anymore. No, because if you're white, sorry, I have no problem with race, but it's true. The white man, according to the globalists, must die. That's why they want to create a new race. That's their lingo. I mean, they look at the Kalergi plan, they call it the mud race. And as I said, I don't care what color you have, but that's their plan. So they don't want to talk about when the white man suffers. And we need to talk about everybody suffering. I don't care which color you are. In this case, it's your seat.
Exactly.
I saw this story of this poor little young boy that was burned alive in a bathtub. I mean, and this is what just one case. Maybe it was another one. I don't know. There are things that they are really out of horror movies. And I say, if you have something to share, not because I want to shock people, but I really want to let them know what's happening here. It's beyond stealing or robbing their properties, their fruit of the labor. This is about now living in complete terror, hiding behind the curtains, try to lock the door. And by the way, you have no right to defend yourself because legally you cannot have any weapon. So that shows you really also the importance of the Second Amendment that we have in America. I mean, let's not forget what happened in Rwanda when the government, the United Nations disarmed everybody. Guess what? The thugs with the machete came and did a slaughter. Okay, so the same. I'm afraid the same thing is going to come down to South Africa. To every white man or woman and child will be eventually put in that situation like in Rwanda years ago. Give me more details, please. I want to know as much as you can tell me.
No problem. When we talk about brutal, you were talking of a little boy in the bathtub. That case was a case where they put boiling water. They actually boiled the kettle and they put that water into a bathtub, and they put that little boy into that bathtub, and they held him down in that boiling water until he died. That's just one case. Other cases is where they take a white woman and they tie her up, hang her upside down, and then they cut her from the private parts right down.
Oh my God.
When we talk about brutal, that is it. Or they stick a broom up a private parts. Things like that. The most brutal thing that they can think of that they try and do with these farm attacks. They'll put a chisel into a guy's head and keep his wife's eyes open so she can witness what's happening to her husband.
Oh my God.
Or they'll burn him alive. What they call a necklace, they'll put a tie around your.
And that was, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, I did a little research, and many of these necklaces, they were also pretty much, let's say, welcomed by Nelson Mandela followers, and Nelson Mandela, I don't think ever really criticized too much this type of activities. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, no, you're right. Winnie Mandela was the instigator on the necklace thing.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
She was just to give you an indication of the situation that's happening. When they said they're taking the land from the whites, land without compensation, the Zulu king in Durban and the KZN area said if they do that, there will be a war, blood will be shed.
Mm-hmm.
So they quickly backtracked their statement, and they assured the Zulu king that none of the black owners of property will be touched. So indirectly, they have now said we're only after the white man's property, and they've got these meetings all over South Africa where people can come up and say why it shouldn't be done and why it should be done. And if you go there, you'll have a mixture of Africans and whites. As soon as they speak about the white, the Africans will go mad, Mm-hmm. And they say, and the Africans, when they get up, they will say, listen, why do they need these meetings? They don't need these meetings. They don't need Section 25 to be changed. They will take the land by force. That's what they said.
Wow. Well, I saw these, public speeches, let's say, prime minister or whatever it is, with all these people dressed up with red shirts and red hats out of a book. Looks like almost the Bolshevik revolution with a bunch of black people. I mean, same concept. They're Marxists, Marxist color black. They were Marxist white in Russia, and this is black Marxist. Doesn't matter. The only thing that there's always the same thing. Everything comes down to Marxist philosophy is all done by violence. Socialism, they call it, is by vote. Communism is by gun. But at the end of the day, even socialism is by gun, because if you don't pay your property taxes, or if you don't pay your taxes, they will come eventually to take your property with a gun. So it's the same. It's just different layers of BS. But the same result, at the end, you have no right. Now, talking about lifestyle, I remember the economy of South Africa was before this new change of power structure, before this Marxist took over. You had a great economy. At least, you were flourishing. You had a lot of resources you were using. Now I see things like, I heard things like the oil. Price of oil, how much for a gallon of oil, how much taxes you pay. I mean, something is skyrocketing. The gold mining is destroyed. I mean, you had a great gold mining industry. It seems like they cannot manage anything. Same story with the farming industry. I mean, till, that's the fact. I don't want to go in black and white, but that's the fact. When the white farmer was taking care of the farms, they were productive. It seems like now they cannot even farm. These Marxists, they're taking over. So tell me a little bit about the economy. What's going on?
No problem. You were talking about that they can't farm. It's true. There was a well-known farm called the Lipton Fall. The Lipton iced tea? Overseas guys put millions and millions into this farm. It was given to the Africans, and within a year, that thing was destroyed. Not productive at all. With all the infrastructure, with all the finance that they got, they still couldn't manage to do anything. And that's what's going to happen when they take these farms. It's not going to produce anything. And you're talking about the economy. Before 94, everything was a well-oiled machine. The railway was working perfectly. The education system was a very high standard in the universities. Even people from overseas came to study here because of the high standard that were kept. The medical and fields were on top notch. Now, if you look back at a hospital that was built, just to give you an idea, to them during the Apartheid days, there was a hospital built. It's called the Baragwana Hospital. It was the biggest hospital in the world with 3,200 beds, and then I think it had 8,000 staff and 23 operating systems. That hospital now has been shut down because they were looting it and they were destroying, because of a wage dispute, they destroyed that hospital. Wow. Patients used to go and hide in the basements and in the toilet.
Oh my God! To
get away from the stampede. And on my Facebook page and my webpage, you'll actually see photos of this hospital being destroyed and burned. But now, if you look at the economy compared to 94, we have a 27% unemployment rate.
Oh my gosh!
At the moment,
27%.
Yes,
wow.
27% unemployment rate. We have a 16 rand per liter fuel price.
Say again. How much the fuel price? Say again. How much for gallon?
It's a 16 rand per liter.
How much is in dollars? Have any idea?
In dollars.
Yeah.
That would be.
I mean, just to right now we have, for example, in Arizona, 1 gallon for $2.70 or change, and it's kind of high. It was cheaper a few months ago.
Well, if you work out our current exchange rate to the dollar is 13 rand 80.
Okay. All right, so it's expensive. My gosh, I know that you got the highest, like Europe almost, I guess, tax on gasoline. I mean, like more than 100%. I mean, it's kind of insane. I mean, but that's part of the plan,
I'll tell you what,
Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what. Our petrol price has doubled in the last 10 years, including a 165% increase in fuel tax.
Wow. Well, it's unsustainable. You know that this is going to be like you can milk the cow till it bleeds, but then it's going to be ready for the slaughterhouse. And that's what I'm really concerned it's happening here. they're not going to be happy anymore just to take whatever you have or your work or your taxes or your property. I believe this is going to be, unfortunately, they need to find a solution to their failures, and they're going to point out to everything that looks white. And I feel sorry that there are people there, you guys, that are innocent, not because I don't have the guilt because I'm white, I didn't do anything 300 years ago or so. By the way, people want to talk about slavery. There's still slaves around the world. There's still slave masters. The first slave master probably they were the black people themselves and the Muslims. Let's talk about all this stuff. They always try to make. We had white slaves too. I mean, the Irish people came to America, many of them as slaves in worse condition than black people too. But nobody wants to talk about that. It's not really politically correct. So, but I'm afraid now. What I'm visioning for you guys, this could be the next stage. Could be much worse than just a bad economy. I know you are somehow, even I don't mention your last name, but I know you out there. They know who you are. You've been out there for the last probably 15, 20 years. I mean, been talking about these things. Are you in danger? I mean, did you have any death threats or any type of things like that?
We do have a target on our backs because we only cater for the whites, and because we go out and we speak about the farm murders and stuff like that. So we automatically do have a target on our back. To give you an idea, we take a lot of food and clothing to our poor white communities all over. And the one day we went there, and we were delivering food items and food parcels, and we were feeding them, and we were chatting with them and giving them clothing. When we came back, our car was vandalized.
Wow.
That was like 25,000 rands worth of damage.
Wow.
Now, we don't have a vehicle because we don't get the funding that the government gives to other charities that help Africans.
Yeah.
So we can't fix that thing. So it's been standing for a year, but it hasn't stopped us. We walk and we deliver. Whether it's raining or whether it's sunshine, snowing, we go and we feed our people. I
saw some photos of you carrying things, really. And then, of course, let's not forget, it's not exactly the ideal weather. After all, you are in Africa, okay? There is wildlife, and I'm sure there's not exactly all the roads are beautiful and clean. I mean, you live in these are harsh environments. And you go there, question. I saw many, especially on YouTube, a lot of camps, like almost refugee camps, and it's so sad. I mean, you talk about refugee camps in the Middle East. These are, my opinion, something even more, or at least as bad. People, little kids, women by themselves, afraid, men, older people, doesn't matter, just completely left in the middle of nowhere with no even running water. And they live in these very uncomfortable huts. I mean, there is nothing, not even electricity. How many you think of these structures out there you have in South Africa right now? How many people, more important, are in these favelas, if you want to call them?
We call it white squatter camps.
Wow.
And it's thousands. There's one in Joburg area, Pretoria, which we call Manziville. There's thousands and thousands of families and children. It's actually situated on old dump site. There's no running water.
Oh my God.
And stuff, and no electricity. It's basically just metal sheets put together for them as a roof, with stones maybe on the top to keep the roof going during winter. Winter time, it's freezing, And when we questioned them about it, and we said, well, can't we get funding so we can at least buy blankets and stuff like that for them? They said, no, not the money allocated for charity is not for whites.
Wow. I mean, that's not humane to an animal. I mean, I tell you, an animal shouldn't live like that.
No.
A human being, I don't care which color you are. That's so sad. You know what is sad? If these people that really believe that apartheid was wrong, okay, and I believe, there is some wrong, of course. I don't think a human being should be classified by color. But now they're doing exactly the same crime and more. Because at least, let's say now you have a reason to say, I know what was wrong, and I will learn from that, and we can make it better. As a South Africans, or whatever you want to call yourself, as a nation, we should overcome our differences and live together and work together. But now, no, they're making exactly the same type of crimes, but even more, because now it's a revengeful crime. It's something that, in my opinion, it is, you already saw how bad it was. Now you want to make it worse? And more important, as I said, it is also now the economic Marxist spin that is not just terrible. They're going to, pretty much be apartheid against you, but also they will destroy everything was built so far, and you're going to live back to the Stone Age, that pretty much where South Africa was before the white man came. And I'm not trying to beat, but it's the truth. I mean, white men, I understand, came there and used the resources, and they had, of course, the colonization. It wasn't exactly something fun, but at the same time, you need to look also at the other side. They brought technology. They brought something that now they are trying to suck in. And unfortunately, so much they can suck, if they don't produce, this milk will go away. And that's where we are. They want free money. Guess what? There's no free money if you don't work, okay? There is no free money if you don't work. Listen, anything else you want to touch I didn't touch, Patrick, from Durban, South Africa?
Well, I think a lot of whites, if they had the opportunity, I think that they would leave South Africa with in a heartbeat,
Yeah.
But I don't think everybody's got the finance just to pack up and leave, myself included.
Listen,
you're kind of stuck here.
Supposedly all these people they sent from Africa or from Syria, whatever they want to call it, refugee, they have no resources either. But all these governments, they're opening their gates and they're paying for attorneys, for immigration attorney on our tax dollar. They're paying also for free tickets, and they come unvetted, many of them. So the problem is that because you guys, I think because you're white, you are not exactly in the right race, or at least they are not in the right group. Because when you want to be having the status of refugee, I think most of the refugees, they come to America, for example, they are broke. That's why they're also refugee. So it's only a question of what the government wants to do with you. I hope our U.S. government, and I believe in compassion, but I believe that also we should have compassion a little bit for everybody after we take care of our people. But at the same time, we cannot just get in this country only one race of people, or at least one religious group. We should give this opportunity to come to America a little bit to everybody. And I think after people start to look into the reality of what's happening in South Africa, I think we have a lot of fellow human beings there that deserve some attention. Question, Patrick. Did you ever plan to, if you would you like to come to America, or would you like to go to another country? What would be your ideal place to come if you had a chance?
I think if we had the opportunity to actually leave, I don't think we would be picky on which country. I think
you're right. Beggar cannot be choosy. When you're dying, I agree.
Yeah.
But let's say
I think
we have a magic wand. Like I give you the chance to choose a place. Where would you like to go?
I would say about two places. I would say America first, and I think Australia would be my second choice.
Okay.
And third choice most probably will be New Zealand, because Australia is very similar to South Africa in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
America will be a total new experience. Australia would be like back home, but 50 years ago.
Unfortunately, Australia, it's pretty much coming the next South Africa, because they are invaded by the Muslims. It's completely under, this new Agenda 21 plan. You cannot even throw an apple on the floor, on the ground. I mean, there is completely this United Nations control freak stuff. Vaccination, no guns. I mean, of course, better than South Africa. They were slaughtering you every day, but I don't know. If I were you, I would pick something else. Any idea of America? When you think America, there are 50 states, different regions, different weather, also different laws on some level. With your knowledge that you have about the states of America, any specific state would you like to come?
I think from small, I always kind of, for me, from outside from America, I always pictured America in the small little towns.
Okay.
That was for me. New York, Los Angeles, it never really did anything for me. But I enjoyed the small little towns.
Yeah, I understand.
In America. You see it, you see it on the movies, you see it and everything, and you see the people, the friendliness of the people. I think it's because years ago the Afrikaners were like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you come to the house, you were welcome like you were family. You know, you couldn't leave without having a meal.
Yeah.
So we kind of pictured that when we see like America in the small little towns.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure New York and all the places are beautiful places. But for me personally, I think a small little place would I don't know, I would be quite happy.
Between being New York sucks. It's the closest thing to South Africa. They have a Marxist freaking mayor, and they're out of their mind, okay? See, and the taxes are almost as South Africa, so stay away from New York as a friendly tip, okay? But, yeah, I understand what you mean. I understand. And also, yeah, when you got a chance, you cannot really get picky, but if I had a chance, I don't know, I imagine South Africa like a lot of big places, nature, at least beside the big cities and the nightmares, is still a place with a lot of nature and big spaces. So maybe, I don't know, for a man like you, I would imagine also something, southwest or even northwest, where we have a lot of open space and nature, and wildlife, and hopefully away from the government. Listen, I want to say, do you have a website or a place where people can contact you? Let's say I want to send you a donation or help you out in any way. Maybe sponsor you. Maybe somebody say, you know what, I want to adopt you as a son or as a father. I don't know. Why not? I mean, we can adopt anybody we want. Come on, let's try it out here. Never know.
That would be a miracle, But look, we said because we don't get any funding from the government at all for our people, we have to now look outside our borders.
Yeah.
And I know it's very difficult. For people out in another country to support another country, But I've always said it's not a South African problem anymore. It's a white problem. It's fellow white people being targeted.
You know what, Patrick, I look at this as a human problem. I know that the reality is true. The white men and women, they have been targeted. But I look at this as a fellow human being that, in this case, is white. But at the end of the day, you are a human being that you've been targeted, that you've been, let's say, now really in danger, economically and physically. So I look at this as yeah, you're white, guys. We are white. And I'm fine with that. I have no problem. I have no guilt because I'm white. At the same time, I look at this. There are human beings in this part of the world that they're already suffering. And more than important, they may die of torture pretty soon. Some already are dying. So I leave it like that, because sometimes people think, oh, this is a white stuff. No, this is about humanity, that we are here. And by the way, I don't believe in international aid when the government steals our money, but I believe in charity. When people say, I want to help that country, I want to help that individual. So you find the foundation or you find the person where you want to send the check to. So that's what I say. This is good. This is exactly what we can do as a humanity, help each other. So give a website, give us a PayPal, give us whatever you have.
We did set up a PayPal. The PayPal address is farmersaidsa@yahoo.com. That would be the PayPal.
Spell it, please. Spell it again, just to be sure you're spelling.
Okay, it's farmersaidsa. It's FARMER. SAIDSA, Farmers Aid SA, at yahoo.com.
FarmersAid@yahoo.com. Okay.
That's
okay, very good. And
it's Farmers Aid SA.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Okay, perfect. You got it down right. Now, what else? An email they can send you is the same email they can contact you directly?
Yes, we are getting a new email, but that's the one we're using at the moment. Then there's 2 Facebook pages. Because of the influx of invites that we get, we actually opened up another one to accommodate all the invites that we get from people that want to know more and want to help. That will be on Facebook. It's just called Farmers Aid SA.
Okay. All right, Lista. I'm glad. Whatever I can do. By the way, I will put a YouTube out of this interview for posterity and also to share it around. The show is on the air just for a few hours, so now 1 hour on Sunday, and that goes fast. But what I like about the show now through YouTube, it stays there until YouTube take it down. Sometimes, we're having this problem too, of course. They don't like some topics, but still, we'll put it out, and I invite people to download it and upload it again and share it. Because this is what's happening right now in South Africa. It's happening, unfortunately, it will happen in many other countries. And the moment that we become cynical, the moment that we say, whatever, it's not happening to me, guess what? We lose our humanity. And more important, we don't understand. Tomorrow we could be the same people facing this situation, or our sons or daughters. So I want to say thank you for sharing this information. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being my Facebook friend. I really do. And I said, be in touch, please. And seriously, maybe we can find somebody to adopt you or to adopt your family. I don't know. Seriously. If you want to come to America, I think we give space to a lot of people that they hate America. You should have a chance too.
No, I don't think I hate America.
I know you don't. But I'm saying many people, unfortunately, they come here. They come and they already tell you they hate it.
Yeah.
And then same time they get all the benefits. So I say, why not even to people that like it? By the way, I have here in front of me the PayPal. Let me say one more time with my British accent. I'm being sarcastic. Farmers Aid SA. Farmers AIDSA, like South Africa, at yahoo.com.
Yes.
Okay? All right, guys. So this is the story. Even just send $5, $10. I mean, this is the idea. We can help each other without government coercion. That's what we can do. Speaking about help, let me do a little. I didn't put any advertisement today out, anything, but this show, it's based on a free market system. I'm here because of your support. Differently from the government, we do not steal money from you, or we say we give redistribution of wealth. No, we ask. We offer you something through information, and we ask for your support. So anybody out there, please support K-Talks 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. Truly a free speech radio. On the air. This is not just the internet, okay? I don't know many other stations that let you talk about anything we want. And also, by the way, don't forget about your host. I'm here. My show is independent. Love, Guns, and Freedom. I tell you, I don't even sell you ads. I give you the opportunity to share some of my products. If you like coffee, you can get my organic coffee, Zanna Coffee. Go to www.zannacoffee.com. And you can also support the show. If you are anywhere around the world, even just with 99 cents, you can download any of my songs. Go to Zanna, www.zanna.us, or go to Amazon.com and you can download any of my songs and my books and my other products I create. So thank you very much for your support. I want to say thank you again for being there, Patrick, and I'll leave you the floor. You got the last 60 seconds, whatever you want to say.
Well, first I want to thank you, Luca, for the opportunity for us to come and talk a little bit about South Africa, even though we're not allowed to speak to overseas people, because if the government knows that we are talking, like we're talking about having a thing on the back, target on your back, this will be a huge one. But just for the opportunity, just to say, listen, this is what's happening to our people, and just to get the word out there and the support, because we do need international support. Else we're really not going to make it, because we are outnumbered, and we are blocked in every little avenue. So the support we can get through you guys would be so much appreciated. You have no idea. Well, I want to thank you for allowing me to be on your show.
Thank you very much, and I want to be in touch with you, please. We got now Facebook till we have it. Keep me posted once in a while. Let me know what's going on, and maybe if you have some updates, I would like to have you back. Okay?
No problem. I'll send you all the updates on what's happening.
All right. And I have a song I will dedicate to you and to all the brothers and sisters in South Africa looking and really demanding freedom. Remember, freedom is not something you ask. You take it. Unfortunately, it's been proven. Our founding fathers, they didn't go to the king. Please, can you give us freedom? No, they had to fight. And even some of them, they had to die. I don't like violence, but guess what? Yeah. When it comes to freedom, unfortunately, to defend your life from bad people, that's the common denominator. We gotta have guns. That's why I pray that every free human being around the world has the right that we have in America. It's called the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. This is not for hunting. This is not for critters. This is about to defend us from thugs and from corrupt government. That's what it's about. So I say, I pray, I wish in ideal world, every free human being, regardless from the color, should have the right to defend themselves and their family. So I pray that for you. Meanwhile, I would like to say, please, people out there, $5, even just $1. If everybody send $1, $5, at least I got many guests, and sometimes, I try to do my little bit. Even symbolically, I send you $5. If everybody can send $5, maybe, for the next week, you don't need to worry about, okay, what do we eat today? Or what type of fuel can we buy? Stuff like that. Basic things that for us, they are kind of taken for granted. For you, probably it's every day. It's like a quest. It's a miracle. All right, my friend. Thank you very much. Be in touch. Check your PayPal, okay?
Thank you so much, Luca. I appreciate it.
All right, and now we are going to get in right now the song. And by the way, this song is called "Live Free or Die," musical lyrics by myself. And thank you for your support. You'll be listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. God's willing, I'll talk to you next Sunday.